am Osaogi Ogbonwa.
And I am Messi Boko. It's good to have you join us this morning.
As always, we start with what's trending, but let me first of all ask, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I am fantastic.
You sure about that?
Yes. Yes, I am.
All right.
Anyway, top trending stories is going on over there, and of course, news. For now, we're starting top trending, talking about the fact that there's about 20 people that have been, on record found at the Ikoyi building collapse. 9 people confirmed dead. 20 confirmed dead, and about 9 of them rescued alive and sent to hospital. I saw an interview with the Lagos State Deputy Governor yesterday, where he, of course, was there and was speaking with the press, sharing his thoughts on, what was currently going on. I've also seen the NEMA director and a couple other people speaking. And since at that time, nobody was really sure exact number of people who were, in the building when it collapsed. So I was hoping that somehow, some way, it wasn't so many people. It was just a handful of people.
Actually, a big deal even have. Just yesterday also, we saw reports and, story of news of, family members asking that they would like to join this rescue. Yes. Because they feel like it's taking so slow and all of that. I'm thinking that we need to increase the manpower, whatever support. Organizations at this point in time should volunteer. People should come through. And I'm hoping that
they still need to. So I don't agree with that. I understand family members getting desperate because, well, you have a family member whose life you're hoping that you can still save. But these able to do good enough.
But you also want to agree with me that apart from NEMA and the NASEMA, you also have some what's it called again? Some of those companies. I would like not to mention. The name. You have some of those companies also volunteering. What I'm trying to say right now is we need every effort as much as possible at this point in time. So if we have persons who are trained or organizations who have the resources, to help and assist, so we speed up. Because the more time we're wasting, the more dangerous it becomes, and the possibility of having people stay alive is really slim.
I totally agree with that. I don't think the Lagos State government will reject any offers of assistance at this point. I'm hoping that everybody who's on ground there understands the importance and the value of time with regards to search and rescue. Every single second that counts, and I said it yesterday, every single second counts. Between saving a life or losing a life. The rains also didn't help. A couple of 2 nights ago, where it rained as if Noah's Ark was going to be passing, 20 minutes later. It's also one of the things that may have hindered rescue efforts. But I'm hoping that they understand, the importance of time here, and they're able to gather as much of the assistance that they seek or they need to do this. Because from the videos that you can see there, yes, it's not a clear picture. It's not a 100% picture of what exactly is going on over there. It's not just one of these heavy-duty vehicles that they're using. But it shows that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And for everyone who was on the first floor or on the second floor when this building came down, really sad. But anyway, we will, like I mentioned earlier, we will do a follow-up and, of course, bring you updates as time passes. Hopefully an hourly update to share with you exactly what is going on over there. If there's more people that have been found alive and have been sent to the hospital. And also, let's not forget that the people who are being sent to the hospital also need, extremely good medical care at a time like this, because they would have many, many issues, broken limbs, lungs that have suffered, and struggled to get oxygen, who have been, buried in dust for days.
I can only but imagine, the pain and all that they would be going through at this point in time. You can't even imagine it.
Sad. Anyway, let's move away from there. We'll get back to that. We're also going to be speaking this morning with the coordinator for NEMA here in Lagos, and of course we'll be speaking with him to get some information and some clarification as to what exactly has happened in the last 24 hours since the building collapsed in Lagos. That comes up sometime around 8 a.m. this morning, so look out for it. Other trending stories this morning, we're moving to AA candidate, Abga's candidate, Charles Soludo Obinna Uzo of the SDP, Akachukwu Wangbo, ADC, Okodili Onyejugbe for the APM, Ifan Yoba of YPP, Andy Yoba of the APC, PRP's Nnamdi Nuwo and Obiora Okonkwo of the ZLP. Just a handful of those names that are calling for Nnamdi Kanu's release. And also it was signed by Bennett Tiaba, the AA candidate. I know Bennett Tiaba personally. All calling for his release. I'm not sure exactly why, but it says in their resolutions, we, the candidates of the forthcoming Anambra State governorship elections, commit unequivocally to the national rulers and representatives of Igbo archbishops and bishops. We urge the federal government to take urgent steps to demilitarize the Southeast zone and stem the heightened tensions, skirmishes, and endless bloodletting between the security agencies and our youths. They also called on the IPOB to avoid actions that would hinder the smooth running of the election. Well,
it just shows that at the end of the day, all of the calls, everyone is asking that we need to come to a point of compromise. People need to come to the table, federal government and, IPOB, leaders, stakeholders, we need to have this conversation. It shows that people are listening to the, the conversations that we're having on this platform and various platforms across. But whether or not, the federal government will heed to this is also another one. I'm also thinking, peace is it. We need to find a way to resolve all of these issues. Over the years, we know what it is. Every time we have an election, also something that will scare people from coming out. And you talk about political apathy. All of that will also, stem out. But however, some other persons have also said that, usually when you have a single election, in a state like this, just one state having an election, not the general election, there's usually that presence of, security, especially we also saw that in Edo State as well. But I'm hoping that government would listen. They probably might not, I don't know what's going to happen, but the point is let the federal government listen. It's good that people are talking. Government needs to also sit down on the other side and listen, and let's come to a point of compromise for the sake of peace.
Well, it's ballot box snatching and, protect, the electorate and some of all of that. But this is totally different. And the idea behind this level of police presence in Anambra State is mostly because of the IPOB and the ESN and whoever else, that you release him so that, it calms nerves around the Southeast, the IPOB is calm and some of all of that. I don't think the federal government will, answer, those pleas. I think that, of course, the justice system needs to run its course, with regards to Nnamdi Kanu's case. You can't ignore the fact that some people will say, okay, there are certain places here and there where things are unfair with regards to the way that it has been handled. And some of all of that. But
now, when I'm saying that, government should listen, because over time, if you see what's going on, you find out that this issue of deficit of trust. Trust deficit is a major issue in Nigeria. And so whenever government says a thing, now several, reports would say, and, the thoughts that people hold that, oh, yes, there's a plan to try him secretly. He's not being tried properly. Government is trying to do X, Y, Z. I'm saying it involves reassuring that the justice system will take its course. It would not be there would be no bias in handling the case, and all of that assurance might just go a long way. Not necessarily saying, okay, we're going to release him, but all of this cannot happen if people don't sit on the table and talk about it.
And the right thing should be done regardless of the election. These calls for his release or these conversations concerning Nnamdi Kanu should exist regardless of the elections, and it should be the same thing that should be happening with regards to conversations on peace, whether there's an election on the 6th or not. These statements should not simply be made because they need to get over the electoral process calmly, and then after that everybody can go to hell if they choose to. It should be conversations that they should be having regardless of the elections. And so I don't know how successful they would be, but I hope that the 6th comes and goes, and people actually do come out to vote, and the electoral process goes smooth. This really came out after a conversation on social media where someone, of course, if you look across social media every now and then, you would see somebody who's saying Elon Musk has $200 billion. If he just gives everybody in the world 1 million, everybody will be
the conversation, okay. The truth is, I'm thinking, it's just like, people would just make statements, not necessarily to say, hunger would end. Now, this conversation came out because the UN Director for Food Security Organization said if Elon Musk would actually give 2% of his wealth, it could actually go a long way in solving the hunger problem of 42 billion people in the world, you know. And some people started asking...
How many billion?
42, according to him, like 42 billion people, if I'm not mistaken, about 42 million, I beg your pardon, 42 million people are hungry. And if he gives 2% of his wealth, which is about, account for how you're going to spend it, if there's going to be transparency, then that's a condition. I'm thinking that that's almost impossible. That's why he's saying that. It could just be like, okay, so if you say, I'll do this, then I can do this. Not necessarily because I know that you don't have the capacity to do it. So I'm just saying, if you do this, then I will do this.
I mean, he has, you know, legit reasons for asking them, you know, because like this person, Dr. Eli David, said the World Food Program raised $8.4 billion in 2020. That didn't end world hunger. Didn't, you know, even affect, they didn't do anything to world hunger because people are still hungry. So how is Elon Musk's $6 billion suddenly going to be the one to end world hunger? And at the same time, well, I think it's a legit question that has been asked, and also by Elon Musk himself. Do you know how much is budgeted every year? Billions and billions of dollars are donated to different food programs across the world. That doesn't seem to change much, and including governments, and including also the climate change calls that they keep talking about. Billions and billions of dollars are donated in different commitments here and there. That doesn't seem to change much. So I don't think it's a lack of finances thing. It's a policy thing across the world, in different states, in different countries across the world. Elon Musk's money will not affect the poverty and the hunger here in Nigeria. I don't see how that will happen. What exactly is the plan? Who are you going to give the money to? It's mostly a policy challenge across different states and countries across the world. That of course the World Food Program doesn't have a big dining table and is telling everybody to come and eat.
So it's also coming from the premise that yes, we need people who have these resources to actually commit to the cause of ending hunger. Not necessarily that hunger would end, because hunger can never end. There would always be hungry people, and government will not, be able to account for. You can't tell me that you have transparent government all through across the world, including organization. So that's never going to happen. But the truth is a valid question. If they're able to prove how that's going to, solve the problem of hunger, I'm sure that 2% is going to go in there. And that's also some question we should continue and constantly ask everyone around us.
I want you to also put this side by side with the conversation on vaccines, where 5% of Africa, is double vaccinated or has gotten their double dose, compared to the rest of the world that is thinking of a third dose. They're not even considering how much more work needs to be done for us here in Africa. So it's all just talk. Anyway, that's it on Top Trending. We'll take a short break. When we come back, Off the Press kicks off with the major stories making headlines across Nigeria this morning. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome. It's Nimasa This Week, the voice of maritime. Nimasa This Week is brought to you by the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. Statutorily mandated to ensure that there is regulation and promotion of matters affecting our waters. NIMASA bears responsibility for search and rescue, shipping development, and ship registration.
NIMASA This Week, the voice of maritime, showing on this channel.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.